Hi there, it's Scott here from Funstock. I'm here with Mark Hardisty, the author of Gremlin In The Works book. So why don't you introduce us, tell us a bit about the book and what people can expect from it?
Well, the book's a history of Gremlin graphics. So we start right back in 1983 when Gremlin was first formed. A little shop in Sheffield called Just Micro, which then grew into be this behemoth of a publishing company. But we don't just look at Gremlin, we look at some of the other Sheffield companies that are around as well that fed into Gremlin and came out of Gremlin, so people like Alligator and Core Design and Infograms and a whole load of other peripheral companies, but mainly we do focus on the Gremlin story right up until the present day.
So we've got a whole Gremlin story going on in this book. Did you, like I say, expand and cover the entire timeline of what we can expect from start to finish, how they've evolved and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about the book is that obviously the developers of every company come and go. And Gremlin's had quite a few big companies that have come out of it. So Kevin Norburn and Greg Holmes and Jeremy Heath-Smith formed Core Design. That was Gremlin Derby, so the studio that created Tomb Raider was the Gremlin studio originally. Then we've got Chris Liss, who came out of Gremlin, which formed in Rotherham. Saw the Manchester United games of the 90s. Kevin. Then you've got Peter Harrap and Sean Hollingworth and Tony Kavanagh. They were ex-Gremlins as well, so they came from there. And then we come right up to the present day where we've got Sumo, which is still around in Sheffield doing huge things now. So Carl Cavers and Darren Mills, James Hurton-Orr and Paul Porter, they were all former Gremlins as well. Most of the staff at Sumo were Gremlins. So we bring the story, basically we take all these tangents, but the timeline orbits around Gremlin, but goes where we do. Once somebody leaves, we try and follow them and give you a little bit of the story about what happens to them afterwards. Yeah.
That sounds quite an interesting book to say, because it shows that just where they are now and where they've come from. It just shows how much things have changed, but how much things still stay the same.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's Peter Harrap who did Wanted Monty Mole, Tony Crowther who did loads of games on Commodore. They're still at Sumo now, so 30 odd years later they're still making games, and for PlayStation and Xbox One. So these guys that coded on Commodore 64 or ZX81 are still writing games for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and they're still making the next gen of games. So it's amazing that those guys, are still doing the cutting edge, and still some of the cleverest people in the industry as well now are still, still in it.
I say Sumo's got some really cool games that have been brought out over several years, and sometimes you wouldn't even realise that were theirs. A few Sega titles, things like that. In regards to the actual book, Gremlin In The Works, it's like two books in one, isn't it? You've got two big books and then they fold into a single hardback book.
Yep.
In regards to the book itself, was there any particular aspect that you enjoyed writing about or reading about or researching about?
All of it really. I'm a Sheffield boy of a certain age, so the early Gremlin days were important to me. I went in the shop in my teenage years, so that was part of my life. I would go into Just Micro where I bought games, looked at games, and there was also that there was a chance of seeing a programmer. Somebody could come into the shop with a game and you could see it being tested. They did focus stuff. But also it was important having Gremlin in your city. When you opened Trash Magazine and there was an advert and at the bottom it said Sheffield, it meant a lot.
It's that ownership. It feels like it's part of the community.
Exactly, and you were part of that community. So getting to meet all these people that seemed like rock stars at the time. So I've met Tony and Pete and Ian and all those people has been massively enjoyable for me. But also, meeting some people that I didn't know about who wrote some other games and finding out about their story and just seeing how important Gremlin was. It's been a great. Well, I always say, it's living the dream for a retro gamer.
It's a great journey from start to finish, all explored in one book. Was there any difficult aspects about making the book that you found quite challenging or hard?
Knowing when to stop. That was one thing. Because Gremlin it's been 2 years, it's been taking 2 years, and Gremlin at its peak had 300 people working for it. So there's a lot of people to interview, over 200 games. So it's hard to pick and choose at that point. That was quite hard. Should we include that? Should we not? But I worked with a guy called Mark Green he's worked on all Nintendo mags and Edge, and we had about 500,000 words at the end. So longer than Lord of the Rings, the whole thing. So Mark did an amazing job in really focusing that. because you kind of get to the end and you can't see the wood for the trees, if that makes sense. You've got so much stuff. You know, how do you get that down into something that's coherent?
Was there any bits that you cut out from the book that you wish that you kept in, or things you have to change?
Mark's got a very litigious head on him, let's say. There's lots of things that I'd like to have kept that might have got us into some publishing trouble.
We'll keep that secret for the time being.
But yeah, we can say it on camera. Well, loads of stuff that the problem with that is sometimes you don't get both sides of the story, and I think that's key in some of these things. One person says something, and as long as you've got the retort from the other person, you can kind of go ahead and publish it. But if you've only got one side, then
it outweighs the other.
Yeah, you
need that
can't do
complete picture to give everyone the presentation.
You need somebody to say. I mean, the advantage of the book is that there's quite a lot of toing and froing as well. So I'd ask one person one thing, he'd give me an answer, and I was quite able to go back and say that person said this, and they said, well, that's not quite right. And so through the edit, we've been able to clarify quite a lot of things, so it works quite well. But I'm hoping to do some DLC, I say. To put some of the interviews online in audio format so people can listen to them as well. All the stuff that, loads of royalty statements I haven't been able to include in the book just because you can't print that much stuff. It's too much stuff. So I'm working on an archive at the moment that hopefully that will come out as well online, that people just visit and pick and choose what they want, really.
Sounds like a really interesting idea as well, to make these archives.
Loads of people have got loads of stuff, and people have got stuff in the lofts, and there's a couple of people on Twitter that do it. Mark Jones is one of those who works at Ocean, who releases all of his stuff, all of his artwork, unreleased games, and people love to see that, because that's the reason that Retro Gamer magazine's popular, because people want it. So everything I'm going to get, I'm going to try and release if I can.
That sounds like a great plan. So with all the games that you've sort of included in the actual book, was the one that sort of stood out most to you, or most memorable to you at all?
There's ones from my youth, so Monty Mole was an important game for me, and Jack the Nipper and Lotus, those sort of things. It's been interesting finding out loads of games that I never knew Gremlin did, or I kind of missed the 16-bit era because I didn't have an Amiga or an ST. So going back and playing Zool, going back and playing Disposable Hero, which I love, which is a shooter, has been really fun thing to do. So that's the other thing about the book, playing all these games that Gremlin did. So Disposable Heroes one, which is new to me. Tony Crowther did 2 PC games called Normality and Realms of the Haunting, which are fascinating games, really intricate, cutting edge titles at the time, because they combine 3D with full motion video with point and click, really hybrid game. Really weird stuff. So they're worth checking out. But classics like Actua and Zool and Lotus, everybody knows. Supercars, still brilliant games now.
So to everyone watching this video back home, can you just give us a quick snap point of what people can expect from Gremlin In The Works, what it offers to people wanting to pick up the book?
Just an absolutely exhaustive look, a new perspective on stuff that you never read before. So interviews with people who've never talked about Gremlin. Why did Infograms shut most of the British industry? Bruno Bonnell's interviewed, he's never done an interview before. Loads of exclusives, great artwork, and just loads of stuff you've never seen or read before. I think hopefully people will find it an interesting read.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us today, and hope it does well for you.